BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code Bleav for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's code BLEAV. BetOnline, the game starts here. Welcome to the Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, part of the Bleav Network, joined by former tight end and Super Bowl 33 participant Ed Smith. My name is Javon Adams. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, and follow this podcast and tell all of your Arizona Cardinals fans and friends to do the same. You can also watch us on Bleav TV around the country, in airports, and on YouTube. Read the top Bleav stories at si.com and follow us across all our socials. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. What is good, Ed Smith?
What up, though, Brother Jay, and happy holidays to you and all of our listeners and everybody with the Bleav family. And you know that old saying, man, ain't over till the fat lady sings. Well, for the Cardinals, we are at the post event party because that song is done. She's in the room, toweling off right now after a nice shower, and the season, as far as any hopes for playoffs, officially over.
Yeah.
We are done. So just disappointing. I know we're going to talk about it later, but just disappointing in terms of what could have been compared to what is, you know.
Yes, indeed. So we do this thing twice a week. The game, the first podcast of the week, we look back on the most recent game and give our thoughts and some of the low hanging fruit there. And then the second podcast, we look ahead to the next opponent. So you said it perfectly. The Arizona Cardinals went on the road. They traveled to Carolina to take on the Panthers. They left with a loss, 36-30 in overtime. The now 4-11 Panthers are now 7-8. Arizona Cardinals. So of course we can talk about where, you know, we can let the conversation go wherever it goes. But one of the things that is, and I got some questions to you because of course you played the game, and I'm just commenting in terms of what I see and maybe some things that I've heard, especially locally, since we're doing it a little bit later in the day on Monday as we record this. But it was one of those things where before you even got a chance to get your frosty beverage and settle into the game, the Cardinals were down 20-3 before kind of clawing back into the game, never took the lead and ultimately got it into overtime. But one of the things that I heard, one of the conversations or topics, was the Cardinals didn't seem motivated for this game. And then the debate is, should coaches be responsible for motivating players? Should the players be responsible for motivating themselves? I'm a guy that says somebody shouldn't have to motivate me. I heard players, especially listening locally, I heard players say, no, that's the coach's responsibility. And I heard another player say, no, the players should be motivated themselves. Like, for example, the color analyst Ron Wolfley is famous for saying that the players should motivate themselves. Where do you stand on that? And what were you thinking as the Cardinals got down and had to try to dig themselves out of a hole so early in the game?
Well, you know, all great questions. And how I kind of relate it, Jay, is if a team is together, I mean, we're looking at the team as a whole. The coaching staff is not fighting for anything different than the players are, right? So We're all in this fight together. And you know, it should be a combination of the coaches should have us so well prepared, and we should be so fired up that it's almost like combustible material. So, you know, it's not right to say that the coaches, you got to fire the guys up. But during the week, I mean, I played for coaches that during the week, you know, give you a little jabs here, you know, just to keep it, you know, fresh and keep it going. And then by the time we got the game time, we were fired up. You know, so it doesn't just start on Sunday, like we get to the field of the stadium and all of a sudden it's like, okay, guys, let's get fired up. That's not how it works. How it works is all through the week, we're getting revved up for this one. You know, we're not hitting much at this time in the season, but, you know, we're going through things at a fast pace. Coaches are getting you hyped and ready to go. And even sometimes taking jabs, you know, yeah, you got your hands full this week. What you going to do? You know, that just getting you revved up. So by the time we get to game time, I don't need you to spark too much of a fire. All you got to do it because I'm ready to go, and we're ready to go, and your leaders on the team have everybody fired up and ready to go. You can tell the Cardinals, they came out of that one like out of the box on Sunday, just like there was nothing there, and that people sort of have a misconception that it all starts on Sunday. It starts at the beginning of the week as you start getting prepared. Right. If it's a laissez-faire, fair attitude on Wednesday and Thursday, that bleeds into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and eventually Sunday. So it's a responsibility of the coaching staff and the players to make sure we're all ready to go. And it's not rah-rah. Don't get me twisted. It's not like we're not in high school where we got to have a pep rally and all that kind of stuff. But there's usually a couple guys in each position at each level and the coaching staff that make sure everybody is on point assignments. We're excited for this one. We got to, and sometimes, you got to get up for these games. Your body's hurting. Mind is tired from this long, grueling season, et cetera, et cetera. But we got to figure out a way. And that's what the good teams do. They're ready. You know what you always talk about that dude to stay ready. You don't want that dude.
Yeah.
Stay ready. That's, because that dude's ready to go at breakfast. Somebody spill eggs on the floor. He ready to go. That's the type of dudes that you want, and that's how you want to play, get prepared as the week goes on. The closer we get to Sunday, it's not let's get fired up. It's like, hey, slow down. We got, we still got another day before the game, but you got guys that are ready. Stay ready, ready to go. And the Cardinals, if the players are lacking, that means that the coaches are lacking. And to come out and against the Carolina Panthers of all teams. And Jay, I swear to you, I do my conference picks every week. I was so close to picking Carolina. Didn't have the guts to do it because I thought, I don't want to lose this one. So just like everybody else, I went Cardinals in the back of my mind, knowing this was one of those games. They won last week and everybody jumped back on the bandwagon. And here we go. We're going to go across to the East Coast. You got the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are playing really good football, motivated. Their quarterback looks like he's actually a viable quarterback now. And we go over there with our same, blah, blah attitude and nothing. And our quarterback, we'll get into him. But it was just, you could tell who wanted this more from the very beginning. And it's like I said, as far as getting hyped and, all that kind of stuff, that's the responsibility of everybody. But you could tell this team was not ready to play football, and they fought to get back into it, but they earned that L. They earned that L. That's one of those ones that if they would have won it, they were on the brink when they got it to overtime and everything. I was like, they're going to steal this one, and they're going to try to pretend like this was a great game. In reality, Carolina outplayed them all afternoon, and the Arizona Cardinals deserved to lose that game.
So if we're looking at some of the aspects of the game, so if we look at kind of the box score, one of the things that kind of stands out is if we look at the Cardinals in terms of defense. We've talked about the defense being that side of the ball that was able to do more than what kind of outplay with some of the parts and all those things that you say. But really, this is one of those games where the defense, especially the run defense, 152 yards that the defense gave up to Chuba Hubbard, and then Bryce Young was able to get 68 yards. In all, it was 243 rushing yards that the Arizona Cardinals defense gave up. And it just is one of those things where when you're looking at the importance of this game, because coming in, Cardinals were 7-7 coming in. You mentioned they were coming off of a victory. And again, now the Cardinals are 1-4 in the last 5 games. But if we're looking at what was at stake for this game, to be able to continue to stay in the playoff hunt, and then of course we know that Seattle continued to lose, but the Rams ended up winning in New York. But when you're looking at a team where you know that they have the ability to kind of maybe run the ball and you don't want to give them any confidence, I mean, it's a big question mark to me. Let's start with the defensive side of the ball, where it just seems to kind of fall apart. I know that injuries are affecting every team, and so the Cardinals are not immune to that. But it's just 152 yards on the ground where you need to have this game, because that would have set you up for a wonderful clash with the Los Angeles Rams coming up this week.
Well, the Carolina Panthers did to us exactly what our formula should have been doing to them. They came out and they ran the ball, established that. They took a lot of pressure off their young quarterback's shoulders. He didn't have to do too much, you know. Well, he was 17 for 26, 158 yards. They didn't ask him to do a whole lot, though. He did well, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. We got after him a little bit, 3 sacks for 9 yards, not a whole lot of deficit there. But to allow them to come out and control the line of scrimmage, and then what happens, they like, even if you are excited and when they take the ball and just kind of continue to run it on you, it almost deflates you a little bit. And the defense, for whatever reason, couldn't slow that down, couldn't take advantage, get any force any turnovers, anything like that. And it was one of those situations where it was almost like Carolina lulled us to sleep with the game plan. And we didn't wake up till late. And by the time we did wake up, we did fight back. We got it to overtime. That's the one thing. You got it to overtime. In overtime, anything can happen. Once they got the ball, we got the ball back and did nothing with it. And it was pretty much, that was game, set, match. They were so close after with field position and everything. It was kind of, that was it. But just our lack of motivation to stop the run game, it just, like I said, it kind of spelled out everything for me in terms of what this team was all about on this particular day, which was nothing. I didn't see anything out of the Cardinals. And as you mentioned, if we win that game, Jay, flip it around. We're now 8-7. You got your one game behind the Rams, which you've already beat one time. Regardless of what they do, you have one more game against them, right? Yeah. Say you win your game against San Fran, you're playing them for the right, because we would beat them, end up with the same record, and win because of the tiebreaker, because we beat them twice. So that's what was in your hand. And if that can't motivate you, then there's something where we got the wrong coaching staff here, the wrong players here, or a combination of both. And they're going to have to seriously look at weeding some of this out, because as we know, the Cardinals coming into the season, they were, predicted the over-under was 5.5, whatever it was. So there wasn't a lot, like this team is going to be great or anything like that. But they had it in their hands. And you always talk about how expectations change when, depending on circumstances. And when we got, at this point in the season, anything was possible. This team just showed us that, they're further away than we think. And that's not just physically, talent-wise, because I always talk about how they're lacking in talent, but they're also lacking in other areas, meaning coaching staff-wise, they're going to, in my opinion, they're going to make some subtle changes, and also player personality, and I guess the type of dudes they have in there. I'm not sure how many, other than Buda Baker, maybe a couple others. I don't know how many dogs we have on this team, including our supposedly franchise quarterback.
Well, I would say James Conner's a dog.
James Conner's a dog, yeah. James Conner's a dog. But our franchise, quote-unquote, franchise quarterback, that dude, man, he is, in my opinion, he is leaving a lot to be desired.
So let's shift gears and get into that. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. We are presented by Bet Online. So I'll try to use an analogy. My name's not Ed Smith, but I'll do the best I can. So that I'm a runner. So so there was a point in time where I ran every day, at least a mile a day, for about 4 years there, for about 3.5 to 4 years. Every day, I disciplined myself to run a mile. So no matter what, it didn't matter. Cool. If I would get that mile in, no matter what. If we were on vacation somewhere, it didn't matter. Then there came a time when I was very much up and down. So some days I run, some days I wouldn't. And if I was running, I wouldn't be. I wasn't really. I wasn't really mentally there. I was just, okay, I'm just going to go. I leave your house from the radio show. Okay, I'll go get a couple miles in, but I didn't get the most out of it. So recently I decided that for the last 37 days, I've been running every day, and then I've been steadily increasing my miles. Here's hopefully where the analogy comes in. If at one point in time I was so disciplined, then I became undisciplined, and now I'm disciplined again. I believe it's possible for people to change for the worse and to change for the better. With Kyler Murray, there's all of this high ceiling that he has. I would imagine maybe we say it's maybe not the lowest floor, but the floor isn't as high, right? You hear about those high ceiling, high floor, meaning that there's a great level of success and very little opportunity to very little probability of extreme failure. But there some of those things where him being under center, we see a little bit more of that. His demeanor on the sidelines, him trying to being a leader, which is one of those things where you need the rising tide that lifts all boats. You think that you see some of those things change. His ability to maybe handle the offense, to be able to stay in the pocket, maybe trying to be able to use his legs. So those are a few things that I've thrown out there. But we hear about in the beginning of the season where he's turned a new leaf, and now he's the leader that we've always wanted him to be. And then so then you have some success and you see that, but when that adversity comes, he regresses to the mean. Is Kyler Murray just is who he is? That's one of the topics that I heard locally. Is this just is who he is, and the Cardinals maybe need to at least consider in the next year or maybe in this upcoming offseason, look at trying to find someone else to fill those shoes. Your thoughts on Kyler Murray? Because again, he regressed. I think he regressed, or maybe this is just who he is. Your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. What I see is a young man who, one, it doesn't look like he's enjoying being a franchise quarterback. He's doing it because he has the God-given ability, and that's the road he chose. Would probably rather be hitting baseballs and catching baseballs right now. I look at him. And here's the thing, Jay, you got to remember, I was a former baseball player who went the other way. I remember when the love of the game was just drained out of me, going through the strike, going through the steroid era, where I was in my career in terms of feeling I was playing my best ball and I was getting overlooked and like I was running in mud. And I started looking at a football career and I started to get excited. I remember the feeling when I finally made the decision to go that route. And then when I finally did it, being on the football field the first time, it was so exuberating. I'm looking at Kyler Murray, and I'm seeing a dude that's out there, but it doesn't look like he's like fully engaged, meaning passionate about it. Wants his dudes to be out there. We're in this together. You look at Russell Wilson, and we all know Russell sometimes pours it on thick. But that dude is walking up and down the sideline, slapping hands, telling her, hey, we're going to get him next time. We're going to do this. Sometimes you want to say, shut up, Russell, just sit down. But that dude is engaged.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Kyler Murray, and, man, sometimes it's like he would rather be anywhere else other than where he is on the sideline. And then, like, some of his decisions and things he does, it's almost like he doesn't care. And not that he doesn't care, it's like he just doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And for me, if I got a dude, and I'm not there in the facility with him, and but if I got a dude, if it looks that bad to us on tape and everything, I know what they're looking at when they're watching the film. And whether it's him throwing another interception, head down, going back and sitting on the sideline, kind of moping, or just not be like you're watching some of these young rookie quarterbacks, Jay, Jaden Daniel, Bo Nix, Penix got his shot. These are young dudes, and they're out there balling. At no point, there was some times yesterday while I'm watching the game, Jay, and I'm screaming, run the ball, Kyler. You sprint out, and instead of turning the jets on and going, it's like he's looking for somewhere to throw, run out sideline, throw it out of bounds. At no point am I seeing this dude like turn on the jets.
And in addition to that, a lot of the short to less than intermediate in terms of game, and not really. And we talked about this a couple of weeks, and this has been talked not just by us, but just that not pushing the ball down the field.
Yeah, and quite honestly, to get to your question, if I'm the coaching staff, if I'm that GM, I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking to myself, we already signed him up, but can I sit and continue to watch this? I mean, it looks like I said, I don't know what the conversations are in the rooms, but I can guarantee you they're looking at him like, what did we sign ourselves up for? It's not the same dude that we heard about, before we got here, or that everybody's been screaming about, Kyler Murray and his dynamic play. And for me, and I hate to say it, for me, this is okay, we need to start figuring out a way to cut our losses, or maybe we can bait him up and trade him somewhere who really wants him, where we can figure out who our next quarterback is here, because it is not working and doesn't look, I'm not going to say it can't be fixed, but what at this stage of his career, what are we talking about, Jay? What are we going to try to fix? His attitude, his approach to the game, what he gives us, and we already know. I don't know if you know this, Jay, but I think I've said it a couple times on our podcast. We have a short quarterback here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to continue to have to come up with ways to get him in the mix more, sprinting him out. But it seems like he's almost fighting you tooth and nail. It's like he doesn't want to do what you want him to do, which is, hey, let's get you out on the run. If it's not there, go pick us up 10 or 15. I'm not seeing any designed runs for him. And I know you don't want to put your quarterback in harm's way, but Lamar Jackson is doing that. I can run down a list of other quarterbacks. That's a designed run for, it seems like he wants to do the bare minimum of whatever a franchise quarterback is supposed to do and just skate by and nothing else. And for me, that's not enough. I got to start planning my future. If it has to be without Kyler Murray, maybe he can be, sometime, because I had one of our favorites send me a message about, I don't want him to go somewhere else and then be a superstar. And then, because we always do that, meaning the Cardinals. Well, sometimes it's just a bad fit, or it's just not working here. And if he finds greener pastures somewhere else, then God bless him. It might just never work here the way you want it to. And you can stick around. It could be 2 years from now. You're still getting the same Kyler, and we're trying to figure out, all you're doing is lengthening your, your buy-in here. And some of the great organizations, they're like, look, it's time to cut bait. He's good, but he's not the best fit here. Coach, GM, what type of quarterback athlete do you want to hear? We want somebody a little taller. We want somebody willing to do X, Y, Z. It doesn't seem like we can get that out of Kyler, so let's try to figure out a way to move him, not disrespect him in any way, but he's just not the dude here. And I don't think he's the dude here. He can play
the other side of it. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. There's that. There's that logic. I mean, you know what you're getting with him, and we just try to we try to do the best that we can. I'm just throwing it out there.
What are your goals and aspirations, though, Jay? If you want to just continue to be a middling team, 7-7, 8-7, trying to maybe get in a wild card, or then continue to do what you do. And you know what eventually happens? They go find another GM and a coach that might elevate them to the next level. Because I guarantee you, ownership here isn't happy with this. Another year gone by, another non-playoff season. We felt like we had some ingredients. We felt like we were heading in the right direction. But then again, once again, it heads south after, the midway point. So there's common denominators are a beautiful thing, because they help you solve problems. If there's something that's always there when things seem to be going the wrong way, this process of elimination will tell you, this is not working. This piece, or that, if you want to continue to stay on that path, go right ahead, because I guarantee you at some point ownership will be making a different decision that doesn't involve the quarterback. It'll involve you. So if you're happy with what you're doing and where hey, just keep dancing with that devil. He's going to take you exactly where you want, where he can take you. And then, like I said, you'll all be out there looking for a job on somebody else's staff eventually.
I don't advocate people losing their jobs, because that thing sucks. And I know it seems that former players, they understand it's a business. Somebody, you got to go. So that might be my bleeding heart coming through here. But when you're talking about the kind of the lack of being able to stretch the field, it's not saying that we have world-class like Pro Bowl players or all pro players when it comes to the wide receiver core, but the offensive coordinator needs to share some of this blame too. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but it just seems that something there is. What was Cliff Kingsbury is over there putting up points and he's doing some things. He's balling out, and we thought it was going to be a slight little dip there, and then he came out of it, and they seem to be balling. And it's 1 year is not the biggest sample. 1 season is not the biggest sample size.
Quarterback is running too.
Yeah,
he's chopping up yards, and his frame is just as slight as as Kyler's, we see him out there getting it in.
Right.
I mean, he's doing things that Kyler could be doing and should be doing, but we're not getting it out of him.
Okay. So as we talk about this and Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals presented by Bet Online, I got to ask you this. Coming into it, we talked about what the expectations were with the over-unders, 5.5, all that stuff. People were thinking I was a little unsure. Would they hit the 5? Would they hit that 5? Would they? They're at 7 and 8. They still have a couple games to go. I mean, this was another topic that I heard locally. Is this a successful season for the Cardinals? Part of me just off top, because how many games did they win last season? They won 4 games. Seemed to set the culture, do all that kind of stuff, and we were praising them because of their effort and because they were playing well. They were playing out of their minds, so to speak, in terms of just being able to stay in games and just seeing like something is happening here. Initially, I want to say yes, it will be a successful season, but there's an asterisk because the playoffs they could have been playing for something meaningful these last 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on, is this a successful season now that we know that the playoffs are off the table and being able to finish above 500 would be the next goal?
I say absolutely not. I don't consider the season a success because we had goals that were obtainable and we showed that we are the same old Cardinals. And that's not what I wanted to see. If you're going out, you got to go out guns a-blazing, bro. And from what I'm seeing, this team, I won't say they laid down, but they put in minimal effort. And that's coaching and players. I'm not just talking about the players on the field. I'm talking about the coaching staff as well. Okay. I didn't see anything that leads me to believe like, wow, we're heading in the right direction. This team is fired up, and all we need is this.
They fought. They got the game into overtime. They fought, though, right? They fought back. They could have got blown out.
Bro, that was against the Carolina Panthers. Okay. You're not supposed to be in that position in the first place. I know Carolina's playing better. They put up a fight against KC a couple weeks. That was a little bit of a
aberration. Yeah,
aberration. Yeah, this was a game we should have gone over. If we're a team that's on the rise, this is a game that you go over, you get control of it early, and you win it. I mean, even if you win it in overtime, but you're not the one coming back to try to scrape and try say we got out to a lead, and then they fought back and they did everything they could and scrape, and they forced us in overtime. I'd have more, like, hey, Carolina fought. We were fighting back in a game that we needed more than anything. We were the ones scrimping and with our knuckles and stuff like that. We were in a position we never should have been in the first place. And I say that because we didn't come out to win that game. The Cardinals did not come out like guns a-blazing like we come out. It was as just ho-hum as you can imagine. That includes the game plan. And I keep saying this, the game plan that was installed by the coaching staff and then the players on the field trying to execute it all, it looked horrible. It was just a bad look. And for me, at this stage of the season, you got teams like Cincinnati they had a horrible start. They're still fighting, bro. They're still out there, winning these games one by one with a hope to eventually try to, if everything falls right, they might get in. Cards are stacked against them, but they're still fighting. I didn't see that in the Cardinals yesterday. I said, if it was a stronger Carolina team, we might have just gotten blown out, and that would have been the end of the story, which would have been even worse. And like I said, at least we did give it a old college try in the end. But no, we should have never been in that. In my opinion, we should have never been in that position in the first place. And as far as the season, do I think it's a success because we hit our target of over 5.5 games? No. This team, as they played on, you saw they had the potential, especially in the year when San Fran is down. The Rams were like a mass unit at the start of the year. Yeah. Seattle's a roller coaster every week. You have no idea what Seattle team's going to show up. This was the ideal time to just string a couple together and look where we could have been instead of where we are. So that's why, for me, it's not a successful season. If everybody else was at full strength and we just came up short, the Niners are still the Niners, the Rams, we had every possibility to win this division this year, and that's the effort that we got. And we end up going out against a team like the Panthers. So for me, no, it's not a success. And this would leave me, if I'm ownership, I give Gannon, I give Ossenfort, I'm ownership talking to Ossenfort. Some changes need to be made at this level and at this level, meaning you need to get your coaching staff to more in sync, and we need to figure out this roster. So let's go. That would be my message. I'm giving you another opportunity, but there's my coaching staff. We need some work there. We also
I imagine that Ossenfort had marching orders. I'm just speculating here that look, we're gonna cut this. We're not spending as much the first couple seasons after we get out of this, and then I'll loosen the purse strings, if you will, to Ossenfort. I would think, because there's no way that they thought that going on the cheap, so to speak, would be the way in which to really make this thing move. You would think that this upcoming off season that he'll be a little bit more, the checkbook will be available to him, I would imagine.
We will find that out, Jay, because if we go into free agency and they do what they did the last couple of years, we will know that they're on the same track, and nothing is going to change. If they don't open up and I'm not saying you got to go spend $1 gazillion, but there's enough talent out there to get you a head buster up front on the defensive line, even get you a nice offensive lineman in here and a cornerback. Those should be our targets. One of each of those spots. We're going to go out and get the top 1 to 3 or 4 dude at that position and insert them here, and then we'll supplement with the draft. If we go cheap again and we don't spend any money and we're just going to do it in the draft, buckle up, fans, because it's going to be more of exactly what you saw this year, the year before that, and the year before that. We're going to be on the same train. Nothing has changed.
So before we get out of here, I got to ask you this question. So I heard the story of Brock Purdy buying a new car for each one of his offensive linemen. Does it make you wish that you had played a little bit later? And did you ever have any of your quarterbacks ever buy you a gift for when it came to the holiday season?
Quarterbacks were cheap back in the day. They weren't making the money they are now. Yeah. I had a couple of running backs buy us TVs and stuff like that, which was always cool. I was in Atlanta my second year. I remember coming in. There was a big old TV in front of all the offensive linemen and tight ends lockers, which was real cool.
Big back TVs.
Exactly. That box was huge, bro. That box was huge. But yeah, now with the money these guys are making, it's a totally different ball game. My brother, he was in San Fran, and Steve Young went out and got all of them Rolexes. Okay. So he's got a Rolex. I never got a watch or anything like that, but I got a TV. But yeah, I've seen, you hear the stories now that, you got quarterbacks now making $50 million a year.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of money compared to what the guys were making back in the day. And, so they go out and show the love. The interesting thing for Purdy ain't even got that purse yet. Yeah. He's doing this. He's only making like $900,000, which is not chump change, but that's not enough to be going out and buying 10 brand new trucks. Yeah. He had to get a deal or something, bro. Somebody gave him a deal to get all them trucks, because that's your salary and then some. So
this is true.
Yeah. So God bless him. Like I said, I hope that other check comes through eventually. Otherwise, he's gonna be eating ramen and pop peanut butter and jelly for a while.
There better not be leases. You think it's all yours, and then all of a sudden you get something in the mail that says it's a lease. You say, "Wait a minute, man! I thought you bought that for." You didn't hear me. I said, "Here's something for you. You got to pay for it for here. It's a lease. Thank you for all you do for me,
bro. You can take that one back with you. I don't need that."
Exactly. So before we head out of here, we do this again twice a week. The first podcast is always we talk about the game that just took place, and then the next podcast we talk about the upcoming opponent, and that one will be the Los Angeles Rams. We are presented by Bet Online, and of course, the next time that we broadcast will be Thanksgiving. Christmas will have passed, so Merry Christmas to all who celebrate. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all those different things. Happy holidays to everyone. I think, unless you want to say something, Ed, we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, no, just Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night, man. We love all of our fans. We love our families, and everybody we work with here at Bleav. We just wishing everybody a safe holiday, and another year passed, Jay. We're almost to the end of another one, but very blessed to have you as my partner and my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as we always like to say around this time, you can